In India, defamation is a civil as well as a criminal offense that occurs when a person makes a false statement about another person, which harms the reputation of that person. Defamation can be defined as the communication of a false statement that tends to harm the reputation of an individual or an entity, whether spoken or written, or through gestures, signs, or even visual representations. In India, defamation is governed by the Indian Penal Code, 1860, and the Law of Torts. Section 499 of the Indian Penal Code defines defamation as an act of intentionally or knowingly making or publishing any imputation concerning any person, which harms his reputation. If a person is found guilty of defamation, she can be punished with imprisonment for up to 2 years or with a fine, or with both. The victim of defamation can also file a civil suit for damages to compensate for the harm caused to his/her reputation. It is important to note that truth is a defense against a charge of defamation in India. If the statement made is true and made in good faith, then it is not considered defamation. Additionally, opinions, fair comments on matters of public interest, and reports of proceedings of courts and public meetings are generally not considered to be defamatory. What are the consequences of a defamation? The consequences of defamation can be significant and damaging to both the person making the defamatory statement and the person who is the subject of the statement. Some of the consequences of defamation include damage to reputation. Defamation can harm a person's reputation, causing damage to their personal and professional relationships, and can impact their career, business, and other aspects of their life. Legal repercussions. Defamation is a criminal offense in many countries, including India, and can lead to civil and criminal lawsuits, fines, and even imprisonment. If found guilty, the person who made the defamatory statement can face significant legal consequences. Emotional distress. Being the subject of a defamatory statement can be emotionally distressing, and can cause mental anguish, humiliation, and loss of self-esteem. Financial losses. Defamation can also result in financial losses, such as loss of business or employment opportunities, loss of contracts, and loss of income. Damage to personal relationships. Defamation can harm personal relationships with friends, family, and colleagues, causing mistrust and a breakdown in communication. It is essential to understand the seriousness of defamation and the potential consequences before making any statements about others, whether in person or on social media. It is important to exercise caution and responsibility while expressing opinions or making allegations, and to avoid making false statements that could harm others. How to calculate defamation amount to be filed? Calculating the amount of damages for a defamation claim is not an exact science and depends on several factors such as the extent of the harm caused, the nature of the defamatory statement, the financial losses suffered, and the reputational damage caused to the victim. In India, if a defamation suit is filed, the amount of damages claimed should be reasonable and should be based on the actual harm suffered by the victim. The damages may include compensation for the loss of reputation, emotional distress, loss of income, and other financial losses incurred as a direct result of the defamatory statement. To calculate the amount of damages, the following factors may be considered. The extent of the harm caused. The more severe the harm caused by the defamatory statement, the higher the amount of damages that may be claimed. The nature of the defamatory statement. The more serious the statement, the higher the amount of damages that may be claimed. Financial losses suffered. If the defamatory statement has caused financial losses, such as loss of business or employment opportunities, the amount of damages may be based on the actual financial losses suffered. Reputational damage. If the defamatory statement has caused reputational damage, the amount of damages may be based on the impact on the victim's reputation and the cost of restoring it. It is important to note that the court will ultimately decide the amount of damages to be awarded, based on the evidence presented and the circumstances of the case. Therefore, it is advisable to consult with a lawyer who has experience in defamation cases to assist in the calculation of damages and to provide guidance on the legal process. What are the exceptions to defamation in India? In India, there are several exceptions to defamation. The following are some of the most commonly recognized exceptions to defamation. Truth. A statement that is true and made in good faith is not considered defamatory. The burden of proving the truth of the statement lies on the person who made the statement. Fair comment. A statement that is a fair comment on a matter of public interest, such as a review of a book or movie, is not considered defamatory. Public records and proceedings. Statements made in public records and official proceedings, such as court records, legislative proceedings, and government reports, are generally not considered defamatory. Privilege. Statements made by individuals who have a legal, social, or moral duty to speak about a matter, such as a lawyer or a journalist reporting on a matter of public interest, are not considered defamatory if the statement is made in good faith. Consent. If the person who is the subject of the statement has given their consent to the statement, it is not considered defamatory. It is important to note that these exceptions are not absolute, and the determination of whether a statement is defamatory or not depends on the specific circumstances of each case. In addition, some of these exceptions, such as fair comment, privilege, and consent, may have limitations and conditions attached to them, depending on the context in which they are applied. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos.